and some people see the thing that prevents them from getting the thing that they want.
The single greatest lesson I ever learned in my career that profoundly changed the course of my life was,
in today's world, financial advice is being served by a 21-year-old in hoodies, filming in dorm rooms or coffee shops, casually breaking down how to build credit, how ETFs work, or how to turn a $50 side hustle into a recruiting passive income. And you know what is the kicker? It's all happening in 60 seconds or less.
past 30, 40 years, we've doubled down on how do I find love? How do I find happiness? We've doubled down on selfishness. But now, in a complicated, messy world, we haven't been practicing and developing the skills of taking care of each other. And that's what we need now more than ever.
Do you ever give up on someone? I have a fear, and I've never expressed this openly. Gen Z are the least resilient generation.
They're really good at presenting a confidence that they don't have.
Are you ready to turn your screen time into a network time? Because while most people scroll for the memes and dances, a rising wave of Gen Z creators are building real wealth.
There's no way some of these younger Gen Z people could weather such a storm without quitting.
The definition of what full-time employment is up for debate. That this young generation seems less capable to deal with stress than previous generations. That is true. And so they're really good at presenting a confidence that they don't have. They sound like they have all the answers when they don't. It raises the question, is that bad?
One short video at a time, from TikTok trends to YouTube deep dives and Instagram reels, financial literacy is getting a Gen Z makeover, but here's the real kicker. Not only are they learning how money works, they are monetizing that knowledge in ways no previous generation has. So the real question is, are you watching? Are you catching it? If you are ready to master modern money, turn your phone into a financial tool and grow a digital brand that educates and earns, make sure to subscribe to the RichHorizonKey. This is where Gen Z levels up in the game of life, finance, and the digital freedom. Don't just watch the trend, be the trend.
The grass is always greener. You have people who are going from relationship to relationship to relationship, worse, from job to job to job to job. And when I was younger, if you didn't like your job or if you didn't like your boss, the bad news was you had to stay there for a year, because if you left in anything less than a year, you would hurt your CV. They'd be like, why did you leave in under a year, And now again, particularly young people, there's no stigma to quitting. And it happens sometimes too quickly. Like if you're confrontation avoidant, and I've seen it happen, confrontation avoidant, I'm too afraid to ask my boss for a raise, so I just quit. I've seen it happen, right? Or I've been here for 4 months, I don't like the culture, I quit, right? Or I got in trouble at work, I hate my boss, I quit. And so people are quitting so much. My fear, I don't mind if something's super toxic, get the heck out of there. Most places are not super toxic. Imperfect, yes, but toxicity is there's a standard, and it's a high bar. And, or this doesn't fit my values, or this doesn't agree with my politics, I quit. My fear is that if we flash forward 5 years, there's gonna be a disproportionately high number of people who have 8 jobs in 5 years. And what's gonna happen is an employer is gonna look at them and be like, I can't take the risk that you're going to stick around. I'm not hiring you. You sound like an amazing candidate, but you're too high risk for me. And because you've had so many jobs over such a short period of time, you actually haven't stuck around long enough to build up a skill set or know what it's like to manage a storm, because you've stuck around in the good times and bailed on the bad times. And so you have now been in the workforce for 5 years, but you don't have 5 years of work experience. You have 4 months of work experience.
Gen Z is the first generation to grow up entirely immersed in the digital world. They never had to wait in a line at a physical bank to deposit a check or ask Taylor how to open the saving account. Instead, they download an app, link their debit card, and watch their balance appear on the screen. Often before they hit their teenage years, this generation's financial orientation wasn't shaped by the parental lectures or high school economic classes. Instead, it was shaped by the glow of their screen, the shape of the thumb, and a YouTube algorithm that recommended how I paid off $30,000 in student debt by 25. Just when they wondering how to pay for the college, they didn't learn what compound interest mean from a blackboard. They learned it from a short video showing a colorful chart that made the concept instantly understandable. Their first exposure to invest wasn't through a financial advisor or a workplace 401k seminar. It was a viral TikTok featuring a 19-year-old explaining how she doubled her saving with crypto, a meme-laden Reddit thread about GameStop that suddenly made Wall Street feel like a battleground between old money and internet misfits. Gen Z didn't wait for the traditional system to educate them.
A young person who's been at a company for 8 months goes to their boss and says, I want a raise, I want a significant raise, because I'm doing the same job as those people. Those people have been in the workforce for 10 years. I know, but I'm doing the same work as them and I'm doing good work. That's true. You are doing the same work as them and you are doing good work. The difference is, I'm not paying them just because they've obliquely been in the workforce for 10 years. I'm paying them because you know how to hoist a mainsail in calm waters. And you can hoist a mainsail in calm waters as well as they can hoist a mainsail in calm waters. The difference is, they also know how to hoist a mainsail in a storm. I don't know if you can hoist a mainsail in a storm. I pay them more because I know that if we run into hard times, I know that they know what to do and I can trust that we can navigate. And I also know that they will teach you how to hoist a mainsail in a storm.
They simply adapt faster. When textbook lagged behind, they turned to Twitter threads. When school curriculums ignored financial wellness, they found creators on Instagram that were more engaging than any lecture. But this is more than just a shift in where Gen Z gets their information. It's complete reinvention of the learning process. They aren't just passive consumers of financial content, they are active participants and in many cases educators themselves. The line between learner and teacher are blurred. A 22-year-old guy posts a video about budgeting apps they use, and that single video can spark thousands of questions, conversation, and even communities. These digital classrooms aren't led by professors but by real people sharing real stories. Struggling with debt, strategy for the side hustle, screenshot of the investment policies, and raw, unfiltered financial transparency that relatable is the foundation of trust, and trust is the new currency of influence. For Gen Z, financial literacy is not just about numbers, it's about identity, empowerment, and freedom. It's about taking control of future that often feels economically uncertain, and TikTokers, YouTubers, bloggers, and newsletter writers have turned content into careers. A single viral video breaking down how to use a financial investing app can drive thousands of affiliate signups. A well-researched thread on credit scores can earn someone's sponsorship deal with fintech startups. The interaction of financial literacy and creator culture is where influence becomes an income, and where authenticity drives engagement far more than polished corporate campaigns ever could. And for your kind information, this isn't just a theory, it was a wave that's already happening. Personal finance creators are launching podcasts, building online communities, selling templates, writing ebooks, and hosting workshops. Meanwhile, their followers aren't just passive viewers, they are learners who will become earners.
You know, one of my fears at the moment, which is perfectly linked to what you're saying, is I have a fear, and I've never expressed this openly, so this is the first time, so don't all come for me at once. I have a fear that Gen Z are the least resilient generation that I've ever seen. And a lot of it, and sounds so stupid and not evidence-based, but if you look at what TikTok is telling this generation work is, and there was a video that went viral on Twitter the other day out in Silicon Valley where it shows like a Facebook employee, one of the big tech companies. She arrives at work in the morning, she takes a photo of her latte, oh, there's free muffins. She goes over and has the free muffin. It shows her in her TikTok literally doing like 30 seconds of work. Then she's out doing some like pottery making class that work have put on. She comes back to the desk, does another 30 seconds of work. Then she's off to a work social. And I reflect on the storms that my father went through at work, and I just know so deeply inside of me that there's no way.
They are using this information to avoid debt trap, invest smarter, build emergency funds, and even start their own ventures. Financial literacy has become a movement, a decentralized, digitized, and democratized revolution. And at the center of the revolution is Gen Z, not waiting for permission to learn, teach, or earn, but doing all three at once. In this ecosystem, every story matters. Every "I only had $50, but here's what I did" post can light the spark from someone else's financial breakthrough. The gatekeepers are gone and the game is wide open. That's not just evolution, that's financial awakening.
Some of these younger Gen Z people could weather such a storm without quitting, doing a long LinkedIn post to criticize their employer, then quitting. And I just fear that Gen Z, when I'm hiring people that are in that generation, I almost need to go to an extra length just to check that they can cope with a high intensity culture where demands might come on a Saturday, because the world doesn't stop on Saturdays and Sundays. So I wanted to get your take on that.
So let's examine both sides, right? Let's think of it. What's the balance and what are the costs, right? It is a generation that already was starting to ask these questions, but COVID forced the rest of us to ask these questions too, which is, what is the definition of work, right? Like, what does a full-time job mean? And these are unanswered questions. So I don't have an answer as to what the future of work is, because it's right now everything's in flux and things have not landed yet, right? So what is the definition of a full-time job? If I don't come to work, the definition used to be I come in at 8 or 9 and I leave at 5 or 6.
To truly grasp the magnitude of Gen Z financial awakening, you need to look beyond spreadsheets, budgets, or even income statistics. You need to understand the deeply personal and psychological way this generation think about money. For Gen Z, financial goals aren't just numeric, they are emotional, existential, and reflective of personal values. Unlike previous generation who were often encouraged to climb the corporate leaders, save diligently for retirement, and secure stable employment with benefits, Gen Z is rewriting the entire narrative. They are chasing success in the form of high-rise corner offices, Rolexes, or annual promotions. Instead, they are pursuing more holistic kind of wealth, one rooted in flexibility, autonomy, and inner peace. This isn't just a rebellious phase of a youthful council culture, it's backed up data. According to the Intuit Prosperity Index, a staggering 64% of Gen Z would choose peace of mind over a bigger paycheck. For them, wealth isn't just about working 60 hours a week to earn 6 figures. It's about finding work that aligns with their values, allows space for mental health, and provides freedom to travel, create, and connect. Side hustles, freelance gigs, passion projects, and digital entrepreneurship are not just backup plans. They are preferred pathways. Financial success is no longer measured solely by the size of your bank account, but by how much control you have over your time and how aligned your income is with your lifestyle. This shift in mindset radically changed what financial literacy needs to look like. Traditional financial education, often framed through dry cultures, outdated examples, and institutional jargons, fails to capture Gen Z's attention or imagination. When financial advice is delivered without emotional intelligence or cultural awareness, it's fall flat. Today's young learners don't want to be preached at economist institutes. They want to learn from people who talk like them, look like them, and understand the unique financial pressure of modern life, from student debt and rising rent to unstable job markets and digital hustle culture. That's why the power of financial education in 2020s lies in its delivery, fast visual, emotional resonate, and most importantly, authentic. The most important thing is authenticity. Financial readers who can take imitating topics like Roth, RIS, and turn them into meme-filled Instagram reels or bite-sized TikTok using trending sounds are not dumbing down the content, they are democratizing it. A 15-second animation showing how compounding interest snowballs over time can teach more than an entire chapter in a high school finance textbooks. When someone explains index funds while doing a morning skincare routine, it's not gimmicky, it's effective because it meets the learner exactly where they are. These creators aren't just teaching, they are translating, they are bridging the gap between complex economic concepts and the life experiences of generations that grew up in the shadow of the 2008 financial crisis, watched their parents struggle through job losses, and entered adulthood during a global pandemic. Their skepticism about traditional system is earned, and their thirst is for real, usable knowledge is intense. What they want isn't just advice on how to invest. They want to understand how money impacts their mental health, how debt can manage without shame, and how financial freedom can be a form of social resistance. It's also why financial education for Gen Z must mobile first, interactive and visually engaging. Slide decks and worksheets don't cut it anymore. What does work? Canvas style infographics on budgeting hacks, threads that explain inflation using pop-up culture references, YouTube videos that compare credit cards through tier lists, Discord communities that share saving challenges and crypto warnings. Financial literacy isn't confined to a classroom or a bank office. It lives on Instagram grid, in TikTok comments, or Substacks, and in DMs between like-minded creators and followers. And as the Gen Z continues to reshape the definition of financial success, we are watching the birth of entirely new financial culture.
That was the full-time job. Now, how much work I did between those hours, it was FaceTime. And we know that because we've all had jobs where we stuck around until 7, so we got FaceTime so our boss liked us, right? We've all done it, right? But FaceTime is not a thing anymore. And so I have a full-time job and I'm offered another full-time job and I took it. And we see this like employees who have productivity issues and then they say that they're burnt out and like, I know how much work you have, you shouldn't be burnt out. Do they have a second job? And why shouldn't they have a second job? Well, we pay them benefits. So what? Like as long as they're getting their work done, do we care when? People all have side hustles. Even people who've got full-time come to work, everybody's got some sort of little side hustle. So the definition of what full-time employment is up for debate. And I think young people feel, in particular, that why shouldn't I? It's my time, I can do what I want with it. Or I only work 40 hours because those are my limits. Respect my boundaries, right? The problem is I think all of it is so literal, which is, yes, boundaries are important, but the edges of the boundaries are fuzzy, right? And it's not like I don't work on Saturdays. Well, I agree with you. I don't want you working on weekends. This one weekend, I really need your help to finish this project so we can get it out the door. I don't take meetings after 5 o'clock. I agree with you. I think we should have that life balance. But today, I just need you to work till 6 to get this one project done. And to recognize that, so one of the things they're getting right is that we're married to work and we take our phones on holiday. We take our computers on holiday with us and that work has ultimate say on our time. I agree. That should go the way of the dodo. But the extreme is not to put these hard lines everywhere and say, I don't do this. As an aside, the irony is, they demand that we respect their boundaries and yet they seem to step on every other boundary about bringing, emotional professionalism at work and dumping all of my problems onto my colleagues, which is emotionally unprofessional. And it's like, that's a boundary you can't cross. But there is good evidence to your assertion that this young generation seems less capable to deal with stress than previous generations. That is true. They are good at curating, they've grown up in an Instagram, Facebook, TikTok world where I'm really good at showing you the life I want you to think that I lead. And so they're really good at presenting a confidence that they don't have. They sound like they have all the answers when they don't.
But then I see you presenting that life to me if you're a fellow Gen Z.
Yeah.
And I go, what? My life's stressful and difficult, and I had to work really late, and you're having a frappuccino latte, whatever, at 3 a.m. doing pottery lessons. I need to quit.
Yeah. It raises the question, what do you want from your life and what do you want from your work? Like, why do you have this job? If it's just to pay the bills, I hope I know that is the case for a lot of people, that I have to have a job to pay the bills, and I hope that employers are good enough that even survival jobs are a nice place to work, Trader Joe's, great company where people who have survival jobs, still a nice place to work, But I think the question is what is the life that you're trying to build? And if you want a job simply to pay your bills, and this concept of quiet quitting. Have you heard this one? Quiet quitting?
I've heard this term, but maybe I heard you talk about it.
Well, it's been written about.
Right.
It's not my concept. But quiet quitting is this thing where I don't quit the job, but I basically will dial back my effort and give you the minimum. So you pay me to do this job, and I will do the basic minimum amount to do the job, where you can't really fire me because I'm not really doing anything badly or wrong, but I'm also not going above and beyond at all, right? So there's this concept of quiet